Okay, so I'm home. It's 10:46 in the morning on Monday, and oh my God, I have so many things I want to talk about. So, anyways, let's start. Some of them are pretty serious too, but one of the things that I wanted to say is this documentary, this Amber and Johnny documentary that they put out. And I had seen people on TikTok all like, oh, I'm in the documentary and stuff like that. And, I was like, I wonder what that's all about anyways. But I didn't. But then when I was at my daughter's, I came in from somewhere and they were watching it, the documentary. And I had said something about like, oh, I don't know anything about that case. I didn't pay any attention to it. And they're like, neither did we. Just were watching this documentary about it. And so they didn't follow it. And neither did I. And so when you're watching the documentary, it seemed to me, the part I saw was kind of showing like the decline of our society, like how kind of shallow and divisive, and people picking sides. Like you're picking sides in someone else's relationship, a he said, she said, and you're going all in. It's like, have you never been in a relationship? Have you never been in a fight with somebody? Do you not have the awareness that everybody has their own separate reality? But whatever, it pulled in a lot of people, a lot of judgment, a lot of bullying, a lot of hateful shit. And I think that documentary was showing that, like the decline of society. And so that is what I was talking about. Like, there's going to be exposing of things, and some people are going to have parts that they play, and that some parts are going to be very uncomfortable, and some people may not even see the part they play right when it's first being shown. Like, they could still be all excited they're in a documentary on Netflix and still not realize that it is I think my daughter just sent a message and said he was 36. I was thinking 38. 36. I talk a lot about that. But anyways, I want to talk about this shorter stuff first. So, but when I was talking about, like, there was going to be a lot of people, like, the big accounts, but they were shallow, or it's going to all be shown. People are going to see. And so, I don't know. I think, what the documentary was showing wasn't positive about the whole situation. And so, anyways, that's my take on it. But what really got me, I just couldn't believe it. Watching the parts that I saw, and the stuff that was being said and shit, I was like, what in the goddamn fucking hell? What business does a goddamn 50-year-old man have dating a 26-year-old or whatever? It's like, so a grown-ass man is dating a child and he's complaining that she's childish? He's complaining she's got issues? Well, she's a fucking child. Like, you got 25 years in there that you grew. She hadn't got that opportunity yet. And the thing that drives me so motherfucking crazy with these old guys is that they then want to control the girl's growth. They want to direct her. And then we got these old religious fucks who, they want to start out, the LDS, whatever. Let's start out when they're 9 years old. I'm 75, she's 9, perfect match. It's like, oh my God, these people are so warped. And it has so much to do with this controlling some other soul. And then to sit and whine about it, it just was like blowing my mind. It was like, okay, so this girl who has got serious issues, and then people who think like, because she is sexy, because she is pretty, because she's got a good job, that means she doesn't have problems. That means she's got to be secure. She couldn't be insecure, right? She's got everything you want, so fuck, she shouldn't be insecure at all. It's like, people just keep on thinking through how they perceive and not see past. It's like a roadblock. And so, anyways, but to sit here and judge some young girl over her stuff that she did in this toxic ass relationship, because it was toxic no matter what. It was fucking toxic. It was an old guy wanting his sex symbol girl to bring him back to his youth, and the sex symbol girl who wanted, to be recognized, with this, stellar actor who's been around for a long time. I mean, this happens a lot in Hollywood, and but it is in this dissection of the anatomy of this toxic relationship, it needs to be recognized that you have an old guy who's supposed to be wiser, and he's picking a young girl who's got problems and then complaining she has problems. It's like, well, for one thing, you should probably got to know her a little bit deeper, a little bit better, not just have this superficial, she's hot, I'm going for it. Like, this is where our whole society has been. This has been the decline of our society. It is like once love had a price tag, then it was the decline of our society. And, but we have to just recognize, we're declining, we're sliding down, but this is when we start grasping and pulling ourselves back up and recognizing, but you got to do it through having morals and integrity, having some ethics to stand on, some fucking scruples or something to hold on to. So, let me think, because there was some other things. So let me think if I had finished saying about that. Because there was one thing, too, I wanted to say about the hair thing. Because then, it's one thing when you're at home, but then when you go somewhere, it's like you're facing a whole new thing. Am I going out with dirty hair? Like, this is the reprogramming. This is like the having to look at things differently. And it's uncomfortable. It's for sure uncomfortable. And so it was like realizing, like, to other people, do I just go around like, does everybody look at me just like, oh, dirty hair person, and just all greasy and slimy and stuff like that? Do I smell to other people? You start getting those things in your mind. And then when nobody says anything, you start thinking, okay, are they just trying to be nice? Like, do I smell bad? Does my hair smell bad? Does it look gross? But then it's not like you want to ask somebody, because do you really want their opinion? Maybe they do think, for their own thing. It's like, yeah, I think your hair looks dirty as shit. So it's like you have to come up with your own, like, where you're comfortable. Like, I could ask some people and be like, I haven't noticed anything about your hair. Like, who cares about your hair? And ask another person, yeah, I think it looks dirty. Ask another person, well, I don't know, let me look at it. Like, everybody's gonna have different things. We think everybody's thinking the way we think, but it's not the way it is. And so, with the hair thing, the thing that I have noticed, for one thing, it seems, like I said, like a waxy coating that comes on our hair, which, goes to me with this natural part of ourselves. And like, we have ear wax, like this wax comes out. And like, if you touch right in your finger, right in your ear, it's kind of sticky, but it's not like all the way in, but it's like a sticky, I wouldn't say it's oily, but it's like the same kind of thing. Or everywhere inside your whole body, you have a mucosa lining, like this mucosa, a lubricant. And so is the hair. It's the same thing. Like, when you start paying attention, it's the same fucking thing. Our hair has a lubricant that is a natural lubricant that I am thinking it needs. And I think it's really strange is how we've come to think like the best thing to do is strip our hair and then add a bunch of products on to mimic our natural way our hair is. And so then, and all the chemicals, like, they're always, wanting to get us on more chemicals. But there's a lot of things going through the part of, pulling free from their stuff, to brush your teeth when they feel dirty, to not wash your hair every day, to like all these things that we've been told over and over, eat 3 times a day, and then, And they even had people fucking eat 5 times a day. You need snacks in between your meals, for God's sakes. You can't make it more than an hour without eating. If you're normal, it's like, look, if you're busy, fuck, God damn. I mean, I think all of us have had periods of time where we're like moving or busy and you're just going to town and you're just working hard. You're not even getting hungry at all. And you haven't eaten in 10 fucking hours. So it's all manipulated. It's all programming. She's so emotional. She's been barking and barking ever since we got home. And I have no idea. It's like, I'll sit and I'll try to hear, like, what is she hear? What is she barking at? She's been doing it ever since we got home. I don't know, it's weird. Hopefully you can hear me over it. I tried to put on the YouTube, wouldn't even, like, I don't even know. Nothing would come on, so I don't know. Jesus Christ. And everything is moving weird. Everything is moving weird. The fucking freeway thing was weird as fuck. And I have some real thoughts about that, about this, what is happening. It's like the more you pull free, the more you see things differently, the more you see it in patterns and shit. Like driving on the freeway is so fucking crazy. Holy hell. God, she goes tearing off down the driveway. I don't even see. Oh, some guy's out there walking around with a vest on cleaning or something. That's weird. That's weird. There's been so much weird shit, man. Just weird fucking shit. Like those cars parked there, all driving down that one part of Deming. Every mile just parked on the side of the road with cones around it, no person, exact same car. Creepy, man. There's weird shit going on, I swear to God. But driving on the freeway, oh my gosh, and people are just out there, like, and you can feel their energy. You can feel the different people. You can feel like, and some you can feel coming from farther. And there is like these pockets everywhere. And I swear to God, as soon as you get on the freeway, it's like you're shot into the tunnel on the hamster habitat thing. And you just are shot into that portal. And it is portals all around us. Like once we start figuring out there's these energetic portals all around us, and we start being able to figure out how to use this shit. But they are just trying to control it and manipulate it all. But you get on there, it's like you're shot into this thing, this tube. And everybody's going to understand this on different levels. But it is weird because while I'm driving, I feel like I'm a part of the car. I feel like the car is a part of me. I feel like I've got my own Merkaba, my own space bubble, my own energy bubble around me. And I feel like when it's going and stuff, I feel like I could just, like I'm not even touching the ground sometimes. And I feel like I could just close my eyes and that they would just take over. Like, it's weird. Like, these things are weird, what is happening. So, hold on. Yeah, it's so weird because it's like this big white truck with like siren-y things on. It's not just some guy randomly walking around with a pooper scooper or something, but that's what it looks like he's doing. He's got a vest on, but he's got a big old official looking truck. And I don't know. I think everything's so fucking weird, I swear to God. And I don't know if I finished about the hair thing. The hair thing to me is you gotta keep brushing it. This secretion stuff, it is like you gotta get it all over your whole hair. You gotta get it all over your whole hair. But as you do it, it's like your hair becomes silky. It becomes like silk, and it definitely doesn't, to me, it doesn't become smelly or anything. It becomes shiny and silky. And it is, but it can be heavy and dense. Like you have to brush it a lot. You have to comb it a lot. There's upkeep. It's not just like, oh, I don't wash my hair. I don't care about it. No, it's a lot of upkeep. And you got to do more thoughtfulness towards it, you know, like essential oil spray, or create your own sprays and stuff like that. Like, you know, you have to take care of it. But I was thinking, even, I bet you, with this coating stuff, like when your hair's taken care of, like these back in the day where they told us that all these people didn't wash their hair and they just were all covered with lice and they just put wigs on and all that cakey white makeup, gross ass, fucking dirty ass aristocrats. But to me, taking care of your hair, like if you are, you know, letting it grow out without the chemicals, like if you're trying to go through that process, then the brushing it and stuff, it moves the oil all through it. I don't think that lice can attach to it. It's like the same thing as when you're trying to get rid of lice and you put all of that mayonnaise or oil or all that stuff, because they can't attach to it. So when we have our natural coating on our hair, see, I don't think we can get, like they tell you, oh, you're so dirty, you're going to get lice or something like that. I think it's the opposite. I think it's the very opposite. I think the whole lice thing is different. Even if there was little kids in school who were all dirty and didn't wash their hair and they had lice, I think there was something else to it. Like, because if you're keeping it clean and brushing it and stuff, I don't know. I feel like there's something more to it. And I feel like there's a reason we have these natural coatings. Like, I can't imagine if we thought that we needed to have no snot in our nose. We need to have no earwax. You know, we need to have no mucosa through our GI. Like all of these things that are, you know, we need for our function of our body. And, you know, because they tell us, because it's on the outside, they make us feel bad about it. You know, they can't very well tell us, you know, oh, do you have a lot of, well, I think that they have done that on certain things. You know, I do think they get people to focus on weird shit. And I'll tell you one thing too that I had seen is there was somebody, I've seen some weird ass videos. One of them was a guy talking about the industry that starts with a P and ends with a ORN, and that all these people who are involved, but they think, oh, well, they just look at this, they just look at that. They're not looking at that really sick stuff. They sure don't look at kids stuff. But the person who was saying it was like, you guys need to realize that is the same industry. The money you give to that goes towards all of the traffic, all of the organ, all of the kid, all of the napping, all of the, not napping, nabbing, all of that stuff. So it all feeds the same industry. So, but it is like this build on this deviant, you know, it's the dark side of people. And, you know, a lot of people thought that they could tamper in the dark and not, but this is for each soul to get to see themselves. So, you know, it's for you to get to see how dark you got, you know. Nobody else really knows how dark anybody else is. I mean, there's going to be some exposure, just like this, you know, documentary exposing these people as all being so shallow and divisive and judgmental and stuff like that. So all of these different things, everything is going to keep being exposed, you know. Everything is going to, so we keep seeing the truth, seeing the light. And, but you know, with my son-in-law, so, you know, I was going to talk some about that. It's rough, man. He's only, and I'm sure I've been crying and crying and crying for days. So getting through this without crying is going to be, it will be a difficult feat, but I will attempt. Oh my God, I think that somebody's outside just making noise. Stella, please stop. It's just somebody working. Stop. God, every little fucking sound. Anyways, but that's how everything feels. It feels edgy. It feels like things are moving weird. It feels like, oh, it feels weird. And, you know, like, and just the way things keep moving. It's weird when things move weird. Like, to my eyes and stuff, like I'm not even sure what all you know, if it's just our minds beginning to see what's really there or releasing what's there. And so we're starting to see the, I mean, how many more times is Bob Barker going to die in my lifetime? Like, you know, like, there's certain things, you know, we just need to see these glitches, this, I don't know, it's a lot. But anyways, I wanted to talk about the, because it's so multi-level. Like, this is, you know, an important thing, especially when somebody passes young and passes in any kind of tragic situation, you know. And, you know, everything has a story. And so I'm going to tell a little bit about, you know, the story. And so when my girls were in high school, you know, the one I had said before, she had gotten together with this guy like 11th grade or something. Might have been right when she was starting her senior year. No, I think it was over the summer before her senior year. And then she was going to be pregnant in her senior year. So she just was not going, but she was already skipping and stuff. She was already, you know, going in that direction. So the boy who she hung out with, my other son-in-law, the dad to 3 of my grandkids, he is, oh my God, him and the one that just passed, they've been friends from junior high. Stella, stop! Oh my God, it's just so tense. So they had been, so the 2 boys that were my son-in-laws, they had been friends since junior high school. So they had known each other for a long time. And then my daughters got to, one of them was together and then one got together with a friend. So they ended up together. But that was the older daughter's second relationship. When she got together with him, he had already had some issues. They already knew him. She already knew him, but he was getting out of jail or something. She was going through a hard time. I mean, her baby died. And so she, you know, she went into a dark, dark place. And so their lives intersected. And they were together for, you know, a long time. And they were close. And they, you know, we went through some shit. We definitely went through some shit with them. And some hard times. And then they got it together. Everything was great. They got together. They were doing really good. And and they had a baby, and they were trying to have another. He had a good job. Everything was just going really, really good. And she had a good job. And then an old friend of his got out of prison, a real shady character. Just a whole nother story on that guy, which I've probably told the story a long while ago. But that character just drug him right back down, just got him right back strung out. And then so my daughter had said that, and see, these are both my son-in-laws I've been talking about that have been struggling through this, you know, because anybody who had those struggles, the struggles are coming up to the surface, and everybody's, you know, handling them how they can handle them. I mean, it's all destiny. It's all each person's lessons. And each person has their very distinct roles. And so so when that happened, then my daughter was like, no, I can't do this. I mean, and we have a child, and I have my older daughter, and I can't do this. You know, I'm going to break up with you. And so, you know, he would, oh no, I'm going to get it together. And then he would go back and see that friend again. And so once he had fallen off the wagon a few times, then my daughter was like, nope, I got to go. So she had to save herself. Like, everybody who's in a relationship with people who struggle with addiction and stuff like that, everybody has to choose the time when they have to care for themselves, because the people who have the addiction are oftentimes struggling so hard inside that they just take and take and take. They don't realize how much of your energy that they're draining. and you begin to feel like you're just carrying the load of the relationship. And so, you have to let go of some of the dead weight, and you hope that the dead weight is going to, jump up and say, wait, I'm coming, but it doesn't always go that way. But that's where you have to get to. That's where you have to be willing to go. You can't play games, well, if you do this, if you do that, the games will get you nowhere. You have to be willing to lose it all to make the decision over what you really want. Anything you've had, you've got to be willing to let it all go. And so, once she had reached that part, but then all of us were kind of just like, oh no, what's going to happen now? Because we all could recognize, that she kept things going. And so, because he had more struggles besides addiction, he had also the struggles with schizophrenia. And so, that, and that's where I've talked about him. But I was a psych nurse and stuff too. But I had talked to him and about that stuff. Like everybody, I try and get them to understand the world is real, but they've just been told so much it's not real. They think it's all in their head, and they think that they've lost their minds and stuff. It's just sad. But anyways, so we were all concerned over what was going to happen when, if he would be able to keep it together. And I've talked about this over the last couple of years of like, I can see somebody deteriorate. You can see somebody deteriorating, but there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do to save somebody unless they're ready to save themselves. And this is something too that I think that we really need to acknowledge is because so many people, especially right now, people out there, wanting to save everybody else. And so many people are trying to help the homeless and the addicted and the discarded on the streets and stuff like that. And they get very frustrated, like, where's their families and stuff like that. Well, when my son-in-law, he would randomly message us all asking for money. The other son-in-law now, a part of their thing is their last encounter. It wasn't good. And, but, when somebody gets to a certain point, the family members, nobody's giving them money. Yeah, none of us are giving them money to go do drugs. We're all thinking, if we don't, maybe they'll stop. Maybe they'll reach bottom. That's what all the family members are hoping, is that they'll reach bottom. And not to say that the people who are out there giving them food shouldn't, because they need to reach bottom. No, we've got to have humanity. Like, all these parts have to play out. All these parts have to play out. So, and then I think it's important for us to recognize them and realize, there's two sides of all these coins, And I think the biggest thing is too, is as we recognize the two sides of every coin, it begins to be like you put your coin upright. You're no longer just looking at the light side or the dark side. Instead, you've tipped it up and it's standing upright, and you've got both equally. You can see the dark and you can see the light, and then you are keeping them in balance. You're keeping your coin steady. And it may tip a little, like when you roll a coin, it's some wobbly, because you got to steer, you got to keep it, you got to see the light and you got to see the dark, and then you got to decide where you fall in both. I had a great conversation with my granddaughter. One of them was, because she was like, well, I would really like some McDonald's fries. And I said, well, that's some real poison or something like that. I don't remember what I said. It really wasn't as harsh as that. But I don't remember. I said, well, in the conversation though, I was like, well, that's not really French fries. And she goes, yes, it is. That's French fries. They're just cut up potatoes made into French fries. And I'm like, no. Can you tell the difference between French fries and JoJo's? JoJo's are cut up potato made into French fries. The French fries are like cut up, mushed up potato, then smashed back together and then put in a little crusty shell. I said, it's not potato. It doesn't even have a lot of potato in it. And she's arguing with me. Yes, it is. It's potato and all that. So then I was like, okay. I said, just start looking it up. Just start looking up some of this stuff. You think, and she goes, oh, what, on TikTok? Like, that's the truth. Do you just believe everything you see? And I say, no. Don't just go in and believe everything you see, but you've got to go in and see all the different things so that you can figure out what you believe. Like, you have to look at more things. You have to look at both sides. You have to look at the good side. Like, you are looking at the good side, but you're not looking at the bad side. You're not making a real decision for yourself. It's all based on one thing, one side. You haven't even seen the other side. So you got to look for the other side. You got to go out and look for yourself and figure it out. And so, anyways, that was really good, because she was really listening. Because that is an important thing for all people to see. Like, everybody just wants to see the side they're showing you. There's two sides. There's two sides. And the side that they're hiding from you is the side you want to see. And so, and she said, well, if it was poison, we would all be dead. And I said, no, because they do it slow. So that when you get like my age and you're older, then all your joints hurt, all your body hurts. You don't feel good. You go and get medicine and stuff. They said they're not doing it just so they hurry up and do it. They're not trying to kill you immediately, trying to make you sick. Start clicking in that this fucking world was run by a pharmaceutical company. But so, but everybody has these different things. When somebody passes, we all have this different person that we had a relationship with. Everybody had a different person. We all had our own relationships with the person. And so it's just crazy to watch it play out because, to some people, well, my daughter divorced him. But it's so much deeper than that. She's going through so much pain right now. He passed last night at 10:30, and the whole story is just super sad because he had been struggling and struggling and struggling. He struggled with drugs, and he just was such a sweetheart, such a sweet guy. He just got taken advantage of so much. And so everything was turning around, and he had just gotten SSI. So he had everything was in place with his money. He was headed towards, he was going to go to rehab, but he was working towards it. He wasn't ready to just jump in that day. But he got his place. He got a trailer. It was out in Airway Heights. And his mom's going to help him with his finances and help him get all that straight. And then so with these two good things happen, like he got a trailer, he got SSI, but apparently he had been doing, the whole time he had been doing it, because everybody knew he had already moved on to the fent. Like, he was before meth, but then, not everybody's getting it from being tainted. Some people are doing it on purpose. And so he was one of the people who was doing it on purpose. And so I guess, apparently, he was having a lot of heart attacks. He was having a lot of heart attacks. And it damaged his heart really bad. And he wasn't going to the doctor about it. He got pneumonia, just, I think, from not taking care of himself. From, sometimes when you're a drug addict and you're homeless, you are in places where you get sick. And so he had a bunch of damage to his lungs. He was diabetic. He had something wrong with one of his legs. And so he's doing these drugs. And keep in mind, a 36-year-old with a 12-year-old daughter. So this is a young person. So, this is a tragic situation. It's sad. And if people who want to be judgmental towards other people, that's on them, But so he was, everything seemed to be going good. And then his mom got a call from somebody who knew him. So it was probably, once he had a home, there's probably a lot of people who decided they'd come share it with him. And if he had some money, I'm sure he was the one buying whatever was there. But so whoever called his mom said he was having seizures, and we called the ambulance, and he's gone in the ambulance. And so the mom started calling the hospital. She's calling everywhere for days. Just disappeared. Nobody could find him. Nobody could tell her anything. and nobody knew where he was, nothing. And so she wasn't getting any help. She's calling the police. She's calling everything she can do. She's not getting any fucking help. Called the hospital where he was at. But since he was under John Doe, well, they're not going to divulge that. They're not going to ask you, like, anything. It's like fucking shady fucking shit. The same shit happened when my cousin was killed riding her bike. And she was 19 and killed out in the street. And then they just take them to a morgue. And then they're just Jane Doe. And then families are out there searching and searching for them. I bet you there's some missing people who are sitting in morgues under Jane Doe's. And the people are out there searching and searching. So, so that was what was going on. And then finally she found him, and he was in ICU, and they said that he had done so much damage to his heart, that his heart was in horrible shape, his lungs were in horrible shape, his legs were in horrible shape, his brain was completely blank. I don't even know how you could do it. But that's why, I don't know about this drug. Like, this is a very strange thing. Like, and I wasn't there, and I didn't talk to the doctors. I didn't see the pictures or any of the films or whatever. All I was told this. But they said both parts of his brain were equally as damaged all the way completely through. That he would have been quadriplegic with no brain function. And so he was on machines. They had him on machines at first. And then they ended up pulling him off the machines and let him go naturally. The body, all the organs have to shut down. So you have to wait through the process of every organ shutting down to go out like that. And sometimes it can take a week. His took, I think, 1 day or something, a day and a half or something. Just all depends. Because when I was a nurse, there was ones that went further, and it's horrible. It's horrible to watch the family have to go through it. It's sad. And then they put him in a comfort care room, so you have like a room supposed to be like home, which again brings me back to, people should be dying at home and being buried in the backyards. And that really got me going too with the whole thing, thinking about like how they turn that into crime and criminals. And I was just thinking about so many things, like every fucking 5 minutes there's a goddamn speed trap. It's like, what is, like, the police act like they really got nothing else to do. You got nothing to do but sit out here and give tickets. And the whole reason why they're out there fucking doing it is because we goddamn pay them. We gotta fucking stop paying them. We're just supporting this fucking bullshit nonsense. It's fucking bullshit, man. It's such a goddamn trap. It's so fucking irritating. But to know that, when your person passes and you bury him outside, that is then your land. It's your land. And it's part of, that's why we have all these indigenous people out arguing over their ancient land, which the fucking shit in Hawaii just gets worse and worse and worse. And right now, at this point, I kind of feel like that they were attacked and taken out, and then the fire was to cover it up. I've seen some fucked up footage, man. And one of them is some Hawaiian girls out on a beach, laughing and singing and dancing around and stuff, like girls on a beach. And you see a light, like they're filming, and you see a light come down from the sky, hit into her. She goes to the ground, and then you see somebody else on the ground. It reminds me of that footage I had seen on that Norwegian bridge where they were filming this scene on this bridge while they were on this vacation, and then way out you see an explosion happen in the background, and then all of a sudden, with a woman is videotaping her husband, and she starts saying, "Your nose is bleeding." He's like, "What?" And she's like, "Your nose is bleeding." And he goes like that, and then you start seeing birds falling out of the sky. Then you start seeing people falling, and then she reaches up or something, and blood, and it's just fucking horrible. It was like a scene out of a movie. That's what this looked like too. I was seeing out of a movie, but since we're in a movie, but so, but all this footage showing the burn marks and stuff, burn marks right up to the cars and shit. And the education department now has put out 2,000 kids. 2,000 kids are missing. 2,000 kids. They don't know where they are. And they know where they are. And then how, did they kill the whole goddamn, did they kill the rest of the Hawaiian people? Is there only a few of them left there to fight? Like, fuck. Like, it's, oh my God. It's just horrible. Like, this is, oh, it's so horrible as shit, man. So, back to our own family tragedy. Which there's so many, and the reason I'm talking about is so people acknowledge their feelings and stuff. Don't put yours aside. Don't let somebody say, well, you're not even married to him anymore, you can't feel anything, because it's not true. You're going to feel a lot of things, a whole lot of things. A lot of things are going to come up. And, like to my daughter, is remembering, what a great life. Like, now to know that that's the only time he got that experience. And he got to have it with her, and it was, they had a great, they were really doing really good for a while. And, and he was a great guy. I've got nothing mean to say about the guy. He was just the funnest, sweetest, most loving person. He was kind. He was just a simple guy, though. He was a simple guy who didn't have control of his mind and didn't feel good about himself. And, the world got to him. And, and their whole thing with drugs and alcohol and stuff is just to give people a crutch that is going to break. It's not going to keep them going. And so all that process, my granddaughter, like, she's just going through, like, I could totally see her processes. Like, it's her life path at this point. This is, a part of her life's journey. And all hers, she's going to feel so many different things throughout different times of her life, depending on who she's interacting with. It's going to be other people, how they feel about it will bring up different things in her processing. But her process will last a long time. I mean, it can still be going, past the time. But when she's having her kids and shit, everything that her dad misses out on, everything, it'll be a lot. And it will be all dependent. I mean, sometimes she'll look at him as a drug addict who should have been there for her. And other times she'll look at him as the best dad in the whole wide world, and how unfortunate is she's going to have a full gamut of emotions to process at being such a young age. And it seriously is going to be the different people who interact with her, how they feel. And I gave her the words of, he was a great guy. Don't ever listen to anybody ever say anything bad about him, or, that there's nothing that he was bad. I mean, dying from drugs doesn't make you a bad person, and it's just so sad. Because there's one thing too, is his mom, which, the reason I was saying about how long that these kids have all known each other from junior high and high school, is that three grandmas there, the two grandmas, their sons have been known each other since junior high. And then my kids have known them since high school. And so, or the end of high school. So, we've all been involved, and we share grandkids together. And so, we have I have a relationship with all the different grandmas. And so, and then my two of the daughters went up to the hospital because they lived in town. So they went up to get to see him, which was really horrible. My daughter and my granddaughter had driven there to go see him. And he was, she said it was horrible. She said he wasn't there. It was horrible to see his body in that shape. She said it was just, she was really torn up about it. And she said it was really, my granddaughter just wanted to get out of there. She didn't want to be in there. It was too horrible. And so, that was a lot. And then my other two daughters, when they went up there, but the other grandma, when she was talking, his mom was saying about, she just worries, that what my granddaughter's going to end up, how everybody's going to talk about him, what's going to be the legacy left behind. And I had already been talking to her all day, telling her what a great guy he was. Don't ever listen to anybody talk smack about him. He was a great guy. He was loving. He was caring. And she started talking about good memories and stuff. And so when my daughter had said that, because I had been telling everybody, it's just like I could feel it. I just knew it without anybody saying anything. I just knew how important it was for everybody to start telling the other grandma how important he was to them. He wasn't an addict to us. We all had different relationships with him. I told her, he was a great guy. I enjoyed my time with him so much. I loved talking to him. He was funny. He was a character. He was a gem. He was, there wasn't a lot of people like him in this world. And I feel fortunate that I got an opportunity to know him. And I think that we need to really remember that kind of stuff, because think about how the parents are feeling, to think that their child's only going to be remembered for their problems. We got to do better. And not, as people, to not focus on some of these problems like that, to remember who the person is in their wholeness, not just, at their worst, when they're doing bad, to be like, that's all they are. And so I just broke my heart, but I knew as a mom that she would be feeling, like, does everybody just see him as like a waste and stuff like that? And I knew it was important for us all to acknowledge how much we loved him and how important he was. And so I've been talking to her, and and it is helping her. That was very much that feeling, and I'm sure that is very common. And we've got so many people dying in addiction right now, so many people dying in tragic circumstances. And it's really important to remember that all the different people are going through different experiences through it. I mean, it's not just our own pain, I mean, we all have the different things that we look at it as being painful, And I go deeper into it too, of just knowing the importance of the role. He played a really important role. And and another thing too, I was really picking up on too, is this is something, I'm telling more, the more you read about near-death experiences and stuff, the more you kind of understand it. And also all the stuff with reincarnation. Like, there's this guy, I've talked about him before too, and he has a TikTok thing. And he says the weird things that kids say. And he said, these are just weird things that all these kids have said. And then he has all these parents coming in and telling what their kids have said. And when he started, and then it just got more and more and more. But it's all about this reincarnation and stuff. And he said so many at 3 years old say stuff. But like ones where, things I was just talking about, all of them say the things I talk about. But like one saying, isn't that funny? Like, this time I'm your mom, or no, I'm your little girl and you're my mom. But last time I was the mom and you were the little girl. Isn't that funny how every time we come back, we take turns? Sometimes I'm the mom and sometimes you're the mom, like all these different kinds of things. And so that is really what's going on, is we're all playing these different roles to learn from one another and to experience, to get the different perspectives, of what does it look like from here? What does it look like from here? Does it change from here? Does it change from there? So we're getting every perspective that we can. And so when, I got lost for a second. So it seemed like I was talking about something else. So when you are the perspective and getting the different perspectives. Oh yeah, okay, so the passing, and then once, oh yeah, okay. So when I was driving with my granddaughter, because when she got home, they had gone to bed and stuff. When they got back from seeing him, she had gone to bed. Or no, she was up really late. That's what it was. She was up late talking to her stepsister on the phone, telling her about what she was going through. So I didn't want to tell her, be quiet. I'm trying to sleep. But I could hear her up there. And I kept hearing her say, my dad, my dad. So I knew she was talking about it. But in the morning, my other daughter wanted me to bring her over because her other cousins were over there and they wanted to see her. So I got her up. And so when we were driving in the car, I was talking to her, and that's where felt so motivated to really tell her what a great guy her dad was, that I didn't see him as an addict. I mean, I know that's what him going back off the wagon is why they had to break up. And, I knew this was something he struggled with from the time he was young. He said he had told his daughter since he was 9 years old. And so I knew, but I just didn't see that side of him. I saw him struggle with some things, but not, everybody struggles. I'm not going to sit there and say somebody's worse than somebody else or somebody's better than somebody else. I don't understand this hierarchy where everybody wants a dog-eat-dog world where somebody can be better than somebody else. And I just think it's, some of these girls who just want to be famous for being beautiful. I just want to be famous for being pretty. That's what I got to offer. It's like, do you understand what you're doing to yourself? Then when you get out there and you got everybody just telling you how beautiful you are, then eventually you won't be the same kind of beauty, or some new beauty will come in and then they'll discard you. And then you're going to feel like if that's all you got, it's going to go away. Like, you got to go deeper, go deeper. So anyways, when I was talking to her and I was telling her, how significant of a person he was and how much I loved and appreciated him. And she starts, saying some things too. And she was like, he was always so nice. He always cared about everybody. He didn't want anybody to ever feel bad. He always was worried that somebody was going to feel bad and stuff. And it was like, all of a sudden, I could just see it so clearly with his energy and stuff. And I was like, oh, that is what... It was like when he passed over and started feeling what other people were feeling, like seeing the mess he caused. And that's what people don't get, is in that hellacious part, that purgatory part, that part where you come out and you're still in this, you're still in a density. It's not up in the heavens. It's not in the higher realms. You're still in a density. And so... when you go to the life review, then you can see all the things and you experience it from everybody's perspective. But a lot of times people pass and they don't just go right to that. They start, like I said, they'll go around, go listen to people's NDEs and stuff. They'll go around, they'll go see their body, they'll go see people, they'll be there's all different things that happen. And so, but one of the things that I saw is that, so when you go over and you cause all this pain, and you don't realize, you're causing other people pain because you're in your own pain. So you don't feel the other people's pain. But then you come out of your body, you don't feel your pain anymore. And the barrier of the body doesn't have the same significance. So you can feel the other people's pain sharp. It's like sharper. It's very sharp. You feel how much they're hurting. And then you feel responsible. And so a lot of times the people are just right there with the people. A lot of people don't leave their people for a while. They stay right with them because of the pain that the people are going through, and they want to make it stop. And so that is what I was definitely picking up on him. He was feeling so... I think that happens so much. People just forget. They forget what they're doing here, and then they cross over, and then it's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't believe I can't believe they forgot. They can't believe they messed up. They can't believe they... And then they want to fix it. They want to fix it. And, but you can't. I mean, That's why I said so many people like will stay near you, like they're always talking to you, they're always trying to guide you and stuff. And to remember how important this is too, because somebody was asking me something about the time thing, and so you know, the time, you know, time and space is something that they're trying to take from us. The space is what you take up. You can take up as little or as big a space as you want. We feel like it's something else, but it's our our space. It's, you know, you can make yourself really small and insignificant, or you can make yourself big and important. You can make yourself big and important with a bunch of hot air, or you can make yourself big and important with loving and caring. Like, or different ways you can approach. And so the let me think what I was the energy, the bit, oh yeah, okay. So they're trying to control time and space, and our energy. And so time with, it's like you're birthed, like you have it's a set window of time. When you're birthed in, automatically the timer is set. You have a set time that you are go out of the story. So you have this much time in the story, this much time that you come in, but it's all destined. Like, you can sit there and think, well, you know, you've only got this much time, but this much time is your story time. It is this story, and it's like how you direct it. Your it's like your awareness of your direction, your purposefulness. That's what it is. It's your purposeful directing it is where you will feel better. Like when you are purposely directing it through this, and you go to your life review, you're going to go at it very different, because you were aware of what you were doing. You were learning, you were doing it different than just the people who are on autopilot, just letting things happen. And they get to the end, and then it's like, oh shit, you mean there was more to this? Like, you mean, what happened? What am I doing out of my body? You know, it's very shocking for some people. And so so your time is your allotted window, the time that you have to come in for your experience. It's associated with all these other people's times, like, because some of the lessons all go with all the other lessons. All the lessons all go together. And so we are come in together into these focus. But if we were in the heavens and we were looking, it's like we're all looking through our own viewmaster into the different reality. It isn't supposed to be, it's supposed to be, we're supposed to accept other people's reality, not try and turn it into our own reality. So it's not like something's wrong that we all see our different realities. It's supposed to be, but we're just so judgmental. We all think that everybody needs to be in our reality the way it needs to be. And so things like what we're working on is this acceptance and being functional in our own reality, you know, using your time wisely, you know, and your experiences, learning from your experiences. And so your window of time, your birthed time, is a set time. There's no accident that will happen. There's no mistake. There's no sickness that will come and take you out beforehand. There's no bike ride. There's no car wreck. There's no murderer. Nothing can take you out before that end time. So yeah, think about that. Everything in between, everywhere they keep you focused on accidents and, oh, this could happen, that could happen. How much energy are you wasting on something that's not going to happen? It's impossible. And even if some weird ass shit happens, you're going to see a miracle. And even when you have a miracle, you're going to go around and tell people, everybody's going to tell you you're dreaming. And miracles don't happen. But it's for you to start seeing. You know, when you see a miracle, when you experience things, it's for you to start realizing that this world's fake and this other world's real. So but these people, and keep in mind, they've been in control for a long ass time. Like, I think back when the Anunnaki were fucking making the first people, there was some people who were left behind who have been in control the whole time. Like, there's been a lot of changes throughout time, but it all has been about controlling us, thinking they're above us, thinking they're better than us. You know, we are the peons to them. They think they're superior to us. They're the blue bloods. They're the, you know, the old money, whatever they are. They're a bunch of fucking weirdos. So, but they, you know, and they've studied us. They've figured out how to make us feel bad about ourselves, how to make us age ourselves. And so this birthday thing is like this, you know, celebrate you didn't die year, you know, to get but it ages you. It makes a number on your time, because your time has nothing to do with your age. Your experience has to do with your time, like how much you age, how much you go through, how much you experience. But it has nothing to do with your age, if you get what I'm saying. And so it is right there. They manipulate and influence our minds. And so you begin to have people celebrate and begin to think, you know, oh, I'm going to have another birthday. Or they get out of sync. They start thinking different. They don't realize, like, what are you celebrating? What are you celebrating, really? Like, why are we counting the years? Like, if you're counting the years, how much of it is like, we are frustrated? Well, goddamn, another year. And like all these different things. Because we're not supposed to be counting the years. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the experience. And so they had to come up with all of these, you know, calendar. I mean, they've changed the calendars several times. They've, you know, all this manipulation. The whole thing with clocks and time, and it had nothing to do with that. Like, we should have never been like 24 hours a day. Should have always been just on, it's dark and it's light. And, you know, you sleep in the dark and you're up in the light. Well, not always. I mean, like, a lot of times I'm up in the dark, and sometimes I fall asleep in the light. So, but it is, you know, that is the only significant part of the day. Them to keep trying to make us keep a clock on the time, and then to get us to switch it on daylight savings, and what about this, and what about that, and, well, now we've got 4 hours of light and 6 hours of dark, all this shit. And it's like, you know, we were supposed to be just more open with it. You know, you go out and you work when it's light, and you go home when it's dark. And but you know, when we were working for ourselves, that worked real well. You just go outside and you worked out in your yard, you did your garden, you did whatever you needed to do to take care of yourself and your family. And then when it was dark, you went in and you know, were in the sheltered area. And then they wanted it to, you know, to lure people out. Well, we'll pay you if you come do this work for us. We'll give you money. And then start getting people on clocks and getting us to change how we look at things, how we look at time, how we look at ourselves. Well, how much money do you make? How much is your time worth? How valuable are you? You know, we started this dog-eat-dog hierarchy, giving value to something that should have never had value. And, you know, and it was also manipulative to get us to focus too much on that window of time, you know, and for people to not see the window of time as your gift of life, to see it as like something that you could lose. And where do you go if you lose it? What happens? and just so much manipulation on people's minds to get them to not really get the full experience, you know, uh, because if you're so busy trying to make sure you don't die, make sure you don't get sick, celebrate every fucking lie, or celebrate every lie, every year, every birthday, because, you're so, I don't know, it's weird. It's just so weird when you really start breaking down, like, what has driven us for so long, how we've looked at things. It really is something to start realizing, like, oh, was another side to this, so we need to look at the other side. And you start seeing the other side, and it's like, damn, well, I wish I would have known that. And then, but then, as you continue to develop, you start realizing, like, oh, okay, so I need both sides. We need both sides of this wheel. We need both sides of this coin, but I need to keep it upright. I need to keep it straight. I need to keep it, on the straight and narrow, not too wobbly, not too out there, but keep it close, but not so up your own ass, not so uptight, not to the point of like, well, I'm doing it best, I'm doing it right, you're all wrong, I'm doing it the right way. We've got to realize that each of us have got our own fucking wheel to keep straight, and we're traversing a pretty hectic course. So, and each of us are the ones that have to manage it. We shouldn't have time to be saying, you should do it like me, you better do it like I do it, and stuff. We've got to be more open if somebody else is, struggling, and they say, hey, how are you doing it? Because I'm really struggling. And then, share what you do. Like, it's important for us to all become more vulnerable, more open. I mean, one of the biggest things that people constantly say to me is that they like how real I am. I've just always been real. I've always been, I've taken the abuse all along, though. Don't think it's been easy to be real. It's been a difficult journey. People make fun of you. People call you, names and think you're weird. So, but it is important to be your true self, but it's a destination, but I think we're all headed to it. I think everybody wants to get to that place of feeling real and being surrounded by people who are real. We're not guessing, we're not playing games, but the whole thing to getting to be real is you got a lot of stuff to release, because the reason you're not real is because you're trying to please others. You're trying to make sure this person doesn't make fun of you or that person doesn't make fun of you, and you don't want them to be mad at you. So you start developing into a person to please others instead of being real and authentic, which will please you when you get out there and you really show yourself. But it is scary, to be vulnerable, to show yourself. But it's important. It's not something that you shouldn't do. You shouldn't hold yourself back and be like, well, the more that some people, throw darts at you, the more, lube yourself up. Just lube yourself up. Just stop washing your hair, lube yourself up, and the darts will just like fly off of you. You can't let them penetrate, and even if they do, and you feel that poison start to go through your blood and into your mind, and you start hearing a bunch of shit that you don't want to think about, you don't like, and stuff, just go in. It's like, acknowledging, but you got to decipher through the mess. You got to see. You got to really start recognizing what is yours, what is really yours, and what is everybody else's. And what are the, the dark energies that are attached to you to keep you going through life? How much of this shit that you hear is theirs? So, it's a lot. These people who wake up and then they're the chosen and everything's all love and light and everything's great. No, that's not. Waking up is a challenge. It's a battle. It's finding yourself. You're out in open water and you've been left out there alone. And, you got to question things. You got to question, what am I doing here? How did I get here? It is all of those questions. All of that is the finding you, finding the true you, finding yourself. And that's what you really want, is the true you. You want to let go of the fake you, the 3D persona that you came up with, that you thought everybody would that you thought was the palatable part of yourself. But you hide parts of yourself, the parts that you think aren't palatable. But you got to be real. You got to be honest about all your parts. And then, if there's people who just find your parts to be too much or whatever, then, there's people for you. You don't have to make every single person fit. There's people who are in alignment with how you look at things. They're in alignment with how you feel about things. There's even when you're at your most toxic, you can find people who meet your vibration. And it's destiny. Those people are there to help you realize, like, is this really where I want to be? Is this where I want to be? But some people, just remember, some people can't get out. And that's what I've been talking about this whole time. Is this a save yourself situation? A lot of people are in the dark and don't know how to get out of it. And the more that we all just keep acknowledging the dark places and really lifting each other up and realizing the pain and the struggle and being a friend instead of foe, being loving instead of judgmental. We're changing the world here. We're changing everything. And, be the change you want the world to be. And be bold. Take risks. If you've always wanted to go out and be a goddamn mime in a park, go do it. Go do it. Who fucking cares if people laugh at you? Go do whatever, sounds like something that you've always had, this part of you that you were hiding. Start finding them and feel, who cares if people think you're silly? Who cares? Get back to that childish side of yourself, that side of yourself that was excited about being alive, excited about feeling what texture was, feeling and smelling and all of it. Get back to that part of you. They've wanted to keep us all in this, like, hypercritical, overthinking ourselves, scared to do anything, sad about everything, feeling bad, anxious. You got to break free from that and, find joy, find forgiveness, find love, all of those things. So anyways, I haven't even been talking as long as I thought, but I may come back and talk some more. I thought I was going to talk way more, but it was like I was getting so, oh my God, I felt like my brain was going to explode. There was so much stuff, and there's way more stuff. Like, oh my gosh, just like, I'm telling you, when you really start getting into communication with your guides and your guidance, you will see it is a non-stop. Like, there's times when I just have to tell them, okay, I need a break. I need to not think about anything. I need to not talk about anything. I just need to, it's too much, because it's like you have this fucking monk, this guru with you all the time that is always, and they're making you think. They don't just sit there and tell you every goddamn thing. No, they make you think. They show you more things, just like when I was 3 years old and they were giving me, like, well, is it this or is it this? What are you going to do? You're going to choose this door or this door? Which one are you going to do? They're always making you think. They're always making you figure out who you are. They're not trying to tell you who you are. They're trying to help you figure it out. So anyways, I might come back and say some more, but I might just start fresh in the morning. It's 12, and you've heard my stomach growling through this whole thing. I'm kind of starving, so I think I'm going to make something to eat. We'll see. I'm go on TikTok and see, that the Hawaii thing, that just gets worse and worse. There's shit going in Michigan, shit going in Louisiana, shit going in Houston. Like, fuck, there's so much shit going all over. And just keep on remembering, wherever you are, the shit that's going on there is going full circle. Like, get out there and figure out what your part is you're supposed to play. What are you supposed to release in all of this stuff? And get out there and unify with your neighbors. Come together over what's important. Even if it's just, making somebody a sandwich. Everything that we can do to come together, it creates so much more love. It just is so much more of, like, the littlest thing that you do that's kind to somebody has a butterfly effect that just goes out and just touches everybody else. So the more that we keep acknowledging that and really trying to bring goodness and greatness back to this world and back to each other and back to ourselves, that's the biggest problem. And I try to tell my granddaughter just really, really clearly, you know, he just couldn't figure out how to love himself. He couldn't figure out, he couldn't save himself. And there are a lot of people out there. Just remember, when you're out there being mean to somebody and being impatient and aggravated, that person is probably right on the edge. And everybody is really, you know, having a hard time. So let's just start spreading kindness and love and just a smile. If that's all you got, just pass on a smile. And I will talk to you later. Bye.